The gist of the literature on pay for performance for physicians has shown a lot of mixed results, with most of the studies showing not very good, not effective interventions. There's probably a ton of reasons why that is. There's some important ones that we're kind of focusing on. One, many, especially large payer-based interventions, have not really targeted measures where there's a lot of opportunity for improvement. The dollars relative to overall income have been pretty small. And the majority of these interventions have also come out through trial and error and don't really think about motivation, don't think about behavioral economics and how they design incentives. So that sort of set up the framework for why we got interested in the question of how can we do some both retrospective data but also experimental work to test both economic and behavioral economic type incentive design changes to see what would actually be most effective. Most physicians are still paid on fee-for-service. You turn the beam on, you get paid. You do a test, you get paid. And now increasingly with these new payment models, the health system is not getting paid necessarily, or at least is losing out perhaps on a shared saving total cost of care type incentive if they overutilize. So one challenge and one goal of these programs now is to try to bring some alignment between the incentives that organizations and physicians are facing. There are some programs that have worked well. Most have not been formally studied. This is mostly sort of anecdotal type of evidence. And even in those programs, we're finding, at least through conversation, it seems like we can at least try to improve upon them. And I think I covered a good bit of this in the sense that there's a lot of opportunity, and we want to be pretty comprehensive in what we think about in terms of physicians and patient experience. What are the behavioral principles that really apply to physicians best? And I won't dive very deeply just for time here, but the ones that we're focusing on, at least in these two projects, are this notion of choice overload. And we're thinking about this in the context of how many performance measures. So for example, the alternative quality contract from Blue Cross Blue Shield of Massachusetts has 64 measures that physicians are supposed to track and get paid on. And that's challenging. So we're thinking, how can we systematically and in an informed fashion reduce that set down? Immediacy. So I mentioned when these incentive programs actually pay out incentives versus the behaviors that are actually driving them. So there's a major lag. So we're testing that with some retrospective data. Loss aversion. So most of these programs don't have any sense of loss aversion. Can we create that at the physician level? Certainly we could create it at the health system level. We heard a little bit about this concept of unblinded feedback and social comparison. So could we rank physicians? Could we do group-based incentives where physicians are dependent on one another? Some of that already exists in the context of these shared savings models and how bundles are actually paid out, but they haven't been systematically tested. So these are the kind of core set that we focused in on. But as you can see, there's a lot of other behavioral principles that we hope to test over time.